In this report we recount the harrowing dark times that plagued the Heros solar system. Listen to the tales of survival, the battles against Dark Eldar threat, and the resilience of humanity under siege. These stories of courage and despair paint a vivid picture of life in one of the Imperium's far-flung systems. The Arbites' Last Stand.
I'm Commander Fork of the Adeptus Arbites, and I've stared down the darkest souls in the hive. But nothing could have prepared us for the Dark Eldar raid. They hit us fast, hit us hard, like a nightmare sprung to life. I rallied my squad at the precinct, our bolters ready, as those Xenos fiends descended upon us. We fought. They were all claws and malice, but we had discipline, we had fury. I remember locking blades with one of their leaders, a wraith-like creature with a sneer that could curdle blood. We fought in the shadow of the governor's spire, and I swear, it was like the emperor himself was watching. I took the fiend down, but not without cost. We held the line though, held it with our lives. That day, the Arbites were more than law enforcers, we were the bulwark against the darkness.
The Noble Sacrifice.
My name is Lady Helena Orlok. I've always known the comforts of noble life, never the sting of battle. But when the Dark Eldar came, they brought the battle to our doorstep. I saw them, from the balcony of our estate, their ships slicing through the sky like knives through silk. I could have hidden, could have cowered. But I am an Orlok, we do not cower. I donned my ancestors' armor, took up the family power sword, and descended into the streets. The people were fleeing, screaming, but I was running towards the danger. I met the Xenos in combat, their blades against mine. I fought not for glory, but for the people of my city, for the hive that had always been my home. I fought until the reinforcements arrived, and when they did, I stood amidst the carnage, wounded but unbroken. The Orloks would not be forgotten this day.
The Mechanicus Ingenuity.
I am Tech Priest Dominus Celix, and my mind is the domain of the Omnisia. When the Dark Eldar struck, it was not just a test of mettle, but of intellect. Their technology was formidable, but heretical, an affront to the machine god. I could not let this stand. With my cohort of Skitarii, I set a trap within the Manufacturum districts. We used the hive's own power grid, turned it into a weapon. As the Xenos marauders advanced, we sprung our snare, channeling the raw energy of the reactors into a surge that fried their systems, left them reeling. It was a gambit that could have cost us dearly, but the calculations were precise, the logic infallible. As the Dark Eldar faltered, we struck, our mechadendrites and servo-arms a blur of righteous fury. They had underestimated the servants of the machine god, and for that, they paid dearly. The Mechanicus does not forget, and we do not forgive.
The Hive Ganger's Tale.
Name's Jax, and I ain't no saint, but I'm hive through and through. When them Dark Eldar came, it was like the sky cracked open and spat out demons. I was with my gang in the Underhive, laying low from the Arbites, when we heard the screams. We knew we weren't no heroes, but we had to do something, right? We took to the tunnels, moving silent like, up behind those spiky gits. They were fast, yeah, but they didn't know the Underhive like we did. We ambushed crude autogun spitting fire. Took by surprise, we did. Lost a few of my own, but we saved a whole hub block from being taken. Didn't do it for thanks, did it because it was our home, our fight.
The Manufacturum Workers' Defense.
I'm called Myra, just a Manufacturum worker, nothing fancy. That day, the day of the raid, I was on shift in the Manufacturum when the alarms blared. We saw, those Dark Eldar, cutting through our mates like they were nothing. We weren't soldiers, but the foreman, he rallied us. said we had to protect the manufacturer, protect our livelihood. We armed ourselves with whatever we could, wrenches, hammers, molten slag. I manned the promethium valve, turned it into a makeshift flamer. Burned a path through them raiders as they tried to swarm us. We held our ground, by the skin of our teeth. We weren't just workers that day, we were defenders of everything we'd built with our bare hands.
The street vendor's courage.
Call me Old Ben, the one who sells trinkets and food to the hive folk. When the dark Eldar hit, I was out in the open market, no place to hide. Saw them coming, all blades and dark grace, and I thought, this is it, Ben, this is the end. But then I saw the kids, street urchins I'd known since they were tots, frozen in fear. Couldn't leave them, could I? I grabbed the nearest one and shouted for the others to follow. We ducked and weaved through the stalls, me leading the way. Got them all to a shelter, safe and sound. I went back out then, to help others. Didn't have no weapon, just my wits and my loud voice. I reckon I saved more than a few that day, shouting warnings and directions, being a guide in the chaos. Never thought I'd be much more than a simple vendor, but there you go. Life's full of surprises, ain't it?
The Medicis despair.
I'm Cestus, a Medici, sworn to heal and preserve life within the hive. That day, the day the dark Eldar came, it was like the very essence of death descended upon us. The wounded flooded in, their bodies torn by alien blades, their screams. Emperor, their screams still haunt me. I worked until my hands were slick with blood, trying to stitch flesh back together, trying to give comfort where I could. But there were those we couldn't save. I remember one lad, no more than 15, looking up at me with eyes that had seen too much horror. I held his hand as the light faded from his gaze, whispering lies of a peaceful afterlife. What we faced that day, it was beyond the comprehension of any soul meant for peace.
The orphan's nightmare.
They call me Whisper, 'cause that's all I got left, a whisper. I was just a kid, playing in the alleyways with my friends when the sky split open and those things came down. They took my friends, took them right in front of me. I hid, pressed in the muck and filth, too scared to move, too scared to breathe. I watched from the shadows as they hunted us, as they laughed and reveled in our terror. I saw things no one should ever see. I survived, if you can call it that, but I ain't the same. The others, they look to the sky and see stars. I look and see the eyes of monsters waiting to come back.
The High Preacher's crisis of faith.
I am Father Malachi, once a voice of hope in the darkness of the hive. When the dark Eldar descended, it was as if the very gates of hell had opened. I tried to gather my flock, to offer solace, to offer prayers. But what use are prayers against the devil's own? I saw them take Sister Amora, heard her cries as they dragged her away. I should have fought, should have died with her, but I hid, cowering behind the altar. The faith I preached, it faltered, crumbled to dust in my mouth. I survived, but my spirit was broken, my belief shaken. How can I preach the Emperor's protection when I witnessed such evil, such suffering, and did nothing?
The Lost Patrol.
We were a patrol, just lads from the hive, sent to scout the outskirts when the sky split with a shriek. The Dark Eldar, they were on us before we could even raise our last guns. I watched them take Rourke, heard his screams as they changed him, twisted him into something not quite alive. We couldn't save him, we barely saved ourselves. The things I saw that day, they weren't just out for blood, they were artists of pain, and we were their unwilling canvas.
The Child's Last Game.
I'm just a kid, they call me Little Titch. We were playing hide and seek in the alleyways, pretending to be Imperial heroes when real monsters came. They were like the shadows come alive, all sharp and cruel. I hid, real good, in a den, but I saw everything. They took my friends, my brother. I heard them scream, and I couldn't. I didn't. I was too scared. When the grown-ups finally came, it was just me left. I don't play heroes no more.
The preacher's lament.
As a preacher, I walked among the faithful, spreading the Emperor's word. But faith was a fragile shield against the dark Eldar's onslaught. I saw them defile our shrine, their hands dripping with the blood of my congregation. I stood before them, brandishing my rosarius, invoking the Emperor's wrath. It was folly. They laughed, and with a flick of a wrist, I was cast aside, my faith questioned by my impotence. I awoke among corpses, my spirit broken, questioning the silence of the heavens.
The guardsman's last stand.
I'm Corporal Horan, of the 117th Hera PDF. We were the line between those Xenos fiends and the civilians. I saw men, braver than I ever thought possible, stand firm as the Dark Eldar came like a tide of malice. We fought, Emperor help us, we fought. But they were everywhere, a whirlwind of blades and dark laughter. I saw my squad, my friends, fall one by one. I emptied my clip, bayonet ready, and then darkness. I woke to rubble and ash, the only one left to tell our tale.
The street rat's escape.
They call me Echo, 'cause I'm so quiet, like a whisper. I was scavenging, a street rat in the underhive, when those dark things swarmed above. I saw M, with eyes like death, taking what they wanted. I ran, through tunnels and saws, knowing the underhive like my own shadow. I heard the screams, the terror, but I kept running. I survived, 'cause I was small, unnoticed, a ghost even to those ghostly raiders. But the things I saw, they turned my dreams to nightmares.
The trader's ruin.
I was a trader, name of Gaius, dealing in rare goods and the odd bit of contraband. The Dark Eldar raid, it broke me. They hit the markets first, fast and lethal. I watched my livelihood burn, my customers and rivals cut down like wheat. I hid, coward that I am, beneath the corpses of my friends. When I finally crawled out, there was nothing left but smoke and the stench of blood. I lost everything to those raiders, and now I wander, a ghost among the ruins of my life.
As we come to the end of these harrowing testimonials, we are reminded of the resilience and courage of the citizens of the Hera solar system. The Dark Eldar raids, a period marked by fear and devastation, have left indelible scars on the hearts and minds of those who endured them. These stories are not just tales of survival, they are testaments to the human spirit's ability to persevere in the face of unimaginable horrors. The people of Hera, under the steadfast leadership of the noble houses, stood united against the darkness, their will unbroken. Today, as we look upon a system that has risen from the ashes of its past, we pay homage to those who lost their lives and those who continue to bear the memories of those dark times. Their sacrifices have not been in vain, for they have shaped Hera into a stronghold of the Imperium, ever vigilant and ever strong. Thank you for joining us on this poignant journey through the past. As we continue to explore the vast and complex history of the Hera solar system, we keep the stories of its people close to our hearts, for they are the true guardians of its legacy.